my name is Teacher Sumi. I'm an online ESL teacher, just like you probably if you're watching this video. So, in my ESL online teaching journey, I've worked for several companies, and there's one company in particular that I can't seem to find any information on from other teachers who've worked for them. So, I want to make a little bit of a video and give you some feedback with my journey working for them. So, the company I recently worked with was Golden Voice English, and it's gve.org, I believe. And I worked for them for 6 months. So they do semesters. They do every season a semester. So you have the spring semester, summer semester, the fall semester, and the winter semester. And the spring and the summer semester kind of went together. And then with the fall, it was one big semester. And then they had a tiny little winter semester break as well. I wanted to give you the pros and cons with working with them. I just recently canceled my contract with them. I didn't renew it for a few reasons, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. But here's some positive things about the company. The training was very thorough. They do use Zoom to do their online teaching, so the training was very well put together. It had us practice all the different features of Zoom, and it was very, very helpful. And went a little bit longer than it was supposed to go because you did a demo lesson at the end as well, but I was able to schedule that demo a little bit later because I had to go after that 2.5-hour training, I believe. Maybe it was only 2 hours. So the training was very thorough and very professionally done by their trainers. The tickets that you send, if you have any kind of a problem or a question, you send in a ticket. Basically, you just email them, and they were answered very quickly. All my issues got resolved pretty much within 24 hours. So I thought that was great. The communication is very good, and that is always really helpful, especially when you're working with a company from another country. They do business primarily out of Toronto. However, all their students are based in China. You didn't have to leave any feedback, which actually takes a lot of time with other companies. So this was nice that we didn't have to do any feedback. And the way their semesters work is you are given a class of students, and you have that same class that entire semester, which is great consistency. So I really did like that. I felt like I was able to really get to know my kids because I saw them on a weekly basis, either 2 or 3 times a week. So that was really great. That was a great pro. However, the cons for me outweighed the pros, and here are some of the cons. There's 2 websites you have to use. One is to look at your schedule, and then there was a second website to download other PowerPoint lessons. So it got a little tricky. It was a little much for me having to remember 2 different passwords and 2 different websites. So that was a little much for me. They do use PowerPoint lessons, so you have to download them from their website at the beginning of every week. And when you download them, you download all the levels. They go by grades, and so you have to pick and choose the ones you need. So that was a little tricky. Just took a little bit longer. The lessons are kind of short. Now, I had a grade 3 PowerPoint or a grade 3 class, and the lessons were kind of short. Sometimes they were a little boring. The games got a little confusing to play because it's in PowerPoint and sometimes it's not very interactive. So I found I had a lot of filler time. So that became a little bit of a struggle because it just got boring. So they do use Zoom. So if you're not familiar with Zoom, they train you on it anyway, but they use Zoom. So they use a third party for their video conferencing. And even their communication too. There's a way you can communicate to people that way. So that was a little tricky as well. You have to upload your PowerPoint or you have to share the screen and do all that. So that got to be a little bit of a headache. You could never check your pay slips. So I really didn't know how much I was making. I did paper and pencil. I kept track of all the classes I taught, and everybody makes $9 an hour, which was fine, but you can't really track to make sure they're paying you the right amount until you get paid that next month. There's no way to really keep track of that. And they didn't really offer any incentives. They did like a summer incentive this past summer, but it was kind of a joke because it was like, if you don't take off the entire summer, we'll give you another $1 an hour. But, it's summer. People take a couple days off here and there. And so it didn't seem like an incentive that many people really could take advantage of. So I thought it was kind of a big joke. The biggest thing for me was, the biggest con for me was that they asked me to be available 3 times a week for 4 hours. So I made myself available 3 times a week for 4 hours. My first 12 weeks working with them, they gave me half an hour of those 4 hours. So I saw the same class 3 times a week, but only for a half an hour. So that meant those other 3.5 hours that I was supposed to be available, I wasn't doing anything. So for me, it felt like a waste of my time and a waste of my money. It was a waste of my time to get up at 3 a.m. I'm on the West Coast, for 1.5 hour class. I didn't like that. If I made myself available for 4 hours, work me at least 2 of those or something, but they only worked me a half an hour. That went on for about 12 weeks. And then I was able to get another class. I got a class that only met twice a week, again for a half an hour. So I made myself available 3 times a week for 4 hours each day, and I only had an hour's work of those 4 hours. And on Fridays, I only had half hour's work. That was the biggest con for me. I did like the consistency, but if I'm going to make myself available, please work me. And they didn't, so that's why I've decided to leave that company. I hope this helps you. You may really enjoy Golden Voice English, and I hope that you do. For me, the cons outweighed the pros. Good luck on your ESL teaching journey.